All right. Good afternoon, everyone. You're tuning in now to Real Talk Weekly at Novak Properties. Myself, Thomas Sims, and Jonathan Vescio are live. It's been a while. And tonight we're discussing Sydney's Northern Beaches 2025 property trends and predictions for 2026. So let's start with our introductions. Jono, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good.
How you been?
Good. Very
Been
good.
well. I feel like we haven't done this for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been quite some time.
Yeah.
I think we had a public holiday in the middle there or something like that, but it feels like it's been quite some time.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
Busy as well.
Yeah.
Had a busy end to the year, surprisingly.
Yeah,
I
still
think
going.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? We're here now. So we decided tonight to give you guys a wrap of 2025, like a Spotify wrap, but with the property market. So we're going to outline the top 3 sales and of houses and apartments of 2025 in Sydney's Northern Beaches. And we'll just start off. We're just gonna dive straight into it. Johnny, do you want to start us off with?
Sorry, 1 second. Technical difficulty.
We'll start off with houses. So the top 3 sales by price.
Yep.
Number 1, Jono, do you want to get us into it?
Yeah. So we'll start off with 46 Sunrise Road in Palm Beach. Really great sale there by LJ Hooker, sold for $24,010,000 on the 15th of September, so quite recently. Obviously performing really well, that Palm Beach market. Doesn't sell often, there's not much that comes on, but that was a great result there for the area. Moving on to number 2 was 13 Bower Street, Manly. That sold for $22.5 million. Great sale there by the agency. Obviously, Manly usually gets some pretty big numbers. It was surprising to see Palm Beach take the number 1 spot, and I think it did earlier on in the year as well. So Palm Beach has been performing really well on those prices, but Manly obviously performing really well as usual. And then number 3, taking out the bronze medal, 31 Pavilion Street, Queenscliff, sold for $21.5 million. And that was on the 16th of September by Clark and Hummel. So obviously Manly Queenscliff taking out 2 of those spots there. Great results, obviously, from all 3 agencies, and really good results there for the areas.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Palm Beach properties come to market in the last month or 2, actually.
Yeah.
So I think they're ending the year pretty strong as well, especially those guys up at LJ Hooker up there at Palm Beach.
Yeah, they're doing really well up there.
Yeah. And then moving on to apartments, so our top 3 sales hitting the number 1 spot, which I think is really incredible, actually. So unit 402/9 Raglan Street in Manly, which sold on the 25th of July for $12 million off the plan by Bell Property. That is a massive, massive sale. That property is still under construction, that entire block. It's going to be a very, very luxury block of apartments there, right on the corner, I believe, of Raglan Street. So incredible result there. Number 2 was 8A Greycliff Street in Queenscliff. That one was sold by Cunningham's for $12 million on the 11th of July, which is I think that's a block of 3. And in that Queenscliff beachside location, right as you come in towards Manly, that's a really good location and a great place to live.
Yeah.
And then taking the 3rd spot, unit 2/3 Oyama Avenue in Manly, which is that harbour side of Manly. That one sold very recently on the 19th of November by Clark and Hummel. Congratulations, guys, for $10.25 million. Massive, massive sales all round. But as you can see there with the apartments, Manly, Queenscliff, they take the top 3 this year. Yeah.
Take the crown. They take the crown on almost Manly houses and apartments there.
Yeah.
So Palm Beach obviously performed really well on those house side of things as well. However, there's not too many apartments over there in Palm Beach in comparison to Manly. So I feel as though that's why we're seeing those big prices Manly and not in Palm Beach for the apartment side of things.
Yeah, I agree. And an honourable mention as well to probably the sale that's been spoken about around the Northern Beaches the most, which is the Boathouse, as people know it. Number 60, Carrington Parade there in Curl, right on the beachfront. That newly built house sold for just shy of $11 million as well.
Yeah.
Which was a very, very good result for Curl there.
Yeah, definitely.
But that one was definitely an honourable mention. I've heard that from almost every buyer looking, $8 million plus.
Yep.
They've mentioned that one in particular. So I think that one deserved its wrap as well.
Yeah, awesome.
So Now, with that in mind, we're going to take you through our 2026 predictions based on what we've seen in the market this year and what's happening around the Northern Beaches as well here in Sydney. So I'll start things off. The main big news that came late this year was the changes to the first home buyers scheme, which allows first home buyers to buy up to $1.5 million, which was raised from $900,000. So that's introduced a lot of opportunity to first home buyers in the market to now compete, I want to say, with a lot of investors, with a lot of downsizers, and we've seen a almost instant change in buyer activity since that news came into place on the 1st of October. I know Jonathan works with a lot of first home buyers as well as I do. I think Jonathan has worked with a lot more. Absolutely. What's your take on that?
On the first home buyer scheme, I think it's a really good thing to do in terms of, getting people into the market for the first time, especially around here. It's very hard to find something under 900,000, which I feel as though a lot of those first home buyers were struggling with.
Yeah, with a 5% deposit.
With a 5% deposit. Yeah, so that's your 5% deposit. So obviously you can still buy with the 10%, but you pay stamp duty if you pay over that 900,000, which is what it was prior to the 1st of October. So it was in thresholds of above 900,000, depending on how much you were spending. You were spending a certain amount on stamp duty. If you purchase under, then you're getting stamp duty, not having to pay it. So that's a really good scheme that the government's put into place, and it's worked really well for first home buyers. I like the first home buyer grant being pushed up to 1.5 because it gives people a little bit more of area to work with. Now you can buy Northern Beaches and you can buy a 2-bedroom close to the beach, whereas before you'd have to purchase a little bit out of the way or somewhere where you didn't really want to, just to kind of stay under that threshold. However, I feel as though it's probably pushing those people with lesser budgets a little bit harder for them to purchase. So it works in two ways there. It's a bit harder for those guys with lesser money to spend, but it does work well for some parties as well. So it's a bit of a half-half.
Yeah, so it's definitely opened that door to a whole new group of buyers in the Northern Beaches. So coming into 2026, what I feel like is going to happen is they're going to continue to come through that door and give investors and downsizers a lot of competition. Being young agents who've both grown up on the Northern Beaches, we've seen our friends start looking to buy, and it's only going to continue.
Yeah.
So coming into 2026, I think all of the current properties that sorry, I lost my train of thought, that are sitting just under $1 million or just over $1 million may actually slowly increase in value now that door has been opened for the new buyers.
Yeah, I think it works well for vendors on the vendor side of things as well there. So, those vendors are having a little bit more competition from buyers, more buyers out there in the marketplace. So you're seeing a little bit more competition, those prices are starting to lift a little bit for those entry levels. So yeah, it works out well for the vendor side of things. Most of the buyers are happy about it. Some of the buyers who are at that lower end of the budget are finding it a bit more difficult because the prices are going up. However, it does give people a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah, I agree. And then moving into the next prediction here, we're seeing a very tight rental market in Sydney's Northern Beaches. So a lot of suburbs in the Northern Beaches have those entry-level apartments all throughout. So there's only the vast majority of suburbs in the Northern Beaches have those apartments entry level. So with that in mind, and a tight rental market and investor appeal, I've found Sydney's vacancy rate is sitting at 1.2% in the Northern Beaches particularly. So here at Novak, we manage a lot of rental properties. We're seeing very limited stock, and also other agencies are seeing the exact same trend. And what that's creating is now a rise in weekly rents. So with that in mind, you're going to see a lot of people now trying to lean towards buying rather than renting. People who are renting don't want to move unless obviously they're forced to because of that tight rental market. I think that's going to come into play even more in 2026.
I think so too. I think there's a bit of everything going on at the moment. You know, going into the new year, we're probably going to see a bit of supply versus demand in both the buying and the rental market. And I think that's probably going to start driving some people out of the area, which is quite sad in a way, because, you know, obviously we want people to enjoy the lifestyle of the northern beaches, and it's not the most amazing thing ever that some people can't afford to live here anymore, and they're having to move out towards the outer suburbs.
I think we've seen it already as well this year.
We're slowly starting to see it now. We've had a few that we're selling, for example, and people are having to move out due to the fact that they can't really afford to rent here anymore. And I think it's obviously not a great thing. But in saying that, you know, at the same time, it is the suburb, and that's what's happening in the area, and you know, that's what's happened in Manly. We're seeing people slowly start to span more north in the northern beaches rather than staying on that south side where you're getting the Manly, Queenscliff, that kind of area there. You're getting quite big prices, so people are trying to span out. But you're seeing that supply versus demand as well. Even now, we're slowly starting to see it. But going into the new year, I think we're going to see a big that's going to play a big part in those rental prices, the vacancy rates, and obviously you know, the market in general.
Yeah, I think the demand will continue to increase as well. We've also found a statistic that New South Wales population projection shows 650,000 new residents in Sydney within the next 10 years. So with that in mind, we're going to see around the northern beaches. Here in the northern beaches, you have the lifestyle, you have good schools, you have that coastal living lifestyle.
Yep.
With 650,000 plus residents coming in the next 10 years, you're going to see a lot of those residents look for this lifestyle, look to move here. So that demand's only going to become stronger and stronger.
Yep.
Which coming into 2026, I think we're also going to see. Now, those residents are going to be tenants. They're going to be prospective investors, vendors. They're going to want to buy. They're going to want to rent. And I think that's just going to really tighten things up here as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, everybody needs housing, right? I mean, you're not moving to a new country or moving to a new state or a new city to not go and find a property, right? So, I mean, that's it. So those 650,000 people are finding 650,000 properties, and some of them might be buying multiple. So it's really going to be interesting what the government does in order to see if they can kind of hone down on not allowing it to go too out of proportion. What they did this year was they didn't allow foreign investors. So if you're an investor from overseas, you could no longer invest in New South Wales. I'm not sure if it was Australia-wide or not, but I know it was in New South Wales. You could no longer invest without a Australian residency or being an Australian citizen. So they did put a little bit of a cap on that. They did that for 12 months, which I think is ending next April from memory. So they are doing little things in place in order to help out the population currently living in the northern beaches and in Sydney. However, it'll be interesting to see what they do to kind of cap that moving forward as well. So yeah, it'll be big things coming for property in 2026, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think the demand's going to continue to rise. And while we've seen quite low stock levels in 2025, we're hoping that 2026 sees a massive jump there.
Yep.
That'll help a lot of people out, especially locals around the northern beaches, and that's what the northern beaches is kind of about, just keeping locals around, knowing your neighbour. But with everything happening, it's very tough to see those people move away and then new people come in, of course. So look, 2026, I think will be a big year. Definitely hope to stay busy as we do.
I reckon
But
so.
yeah,
I reckon it's going to be busy.
yeah,
I mean, the last 3 months has been pretty chaotic,
yeah,
to be honest.
absolutely.
It's been pretty chaos. I mean, the prices aren't going to massive numbers. You know, you're seeing everything's kind of selling around that market value or a little bit above. But we're seeing stock, the last probably 3 months or so, the average days of market was sitting for us was about 5-6 days. So
Yeah,
everything was really coming on and flying out as if it was priced well and the vendors were motivated to sell. There's plenty of buyers out there, lots of buyers looking even now at the moment, at the end of the year, 2 weeks out from Christmas, and we're still having 30 buyers come through an open home on the weekend. So, and that's 38-degree day on 2 weeks out from Christmas, and there's still, close to 40 groups coming in. And you're like, is it going to slow down, or are we going to go the whole way through? So it's going to be really interesting what happens in the new year. I think everybody's taking advantage of that first home buyers grant. and they're really going to start to move into the new year with having to buy mentality, and it will be interesting to see if the supply versus the demand.
Yeah, a massive positive I've seen towards the end of the year is buyer confidence really rise, and that's on all properties, whether it's entry level apartments, entry level house, even towards your luxury houses. Buyer confidence has been astronomical at the end of the year here, and I think it's been a really good finish to the year, really strong finish. I want to see that move and transition into the next year. I want to see these first home buyers come in and know what they want and then go for what they want. I don't like the hesitation that these first home buyers have had earlier in the year that I saw.
Yeah, I think it's just starting to, it really, at the end of the day, I mean, listening to your agent really helps you, but from what we see on the ground, I mean, if you don't buy something when you're thinking of buying something and you wait 3 months, in 3 months, you could lose 60 grand just like that by snapping your fingers. So I think if you're a first home buyer or if you're second home buyer and you're new to the market, you don't really know what to do. I mean, you just need to get some good advice from an agent who actually cares about you as a person and cares about your wealth in the future. For example, we're selling Casa Del Mar across the road. First home buyers were buying for $740,000 about 6 months ago. Now the minimum you can buy in there for is $835,000. So those guys have made almost 100 grand just because they bought at the time that they went, you know what, I'm going to buy now rather than waiting 12 months and buying something and losing that 100 grand. So in reality, if you're ready if you feel you're ready and you don't know if you are, or if you've got the money in the bank and you're ready to go, it's definitely a good time to get in because the market will always go up. I mean, very rarely you'll see it come down, and I don't think we have in the last 10 years, and I don't think we will for the next 10. So yeah, I think getting into the market is the main thing. Don't hold back, really.
Yeah, absolutely. With everything that we've mentioned, it all indicates up.
Yeah,
that's what I feel.
Too.
So I think 2026 will be a big year. I think we'll see some suburb records, block records all throughout the northern beaches next year. So it's exciting, but if you want to get into the market, I'd definitely be looking to get in as soon as possible before that jump catches you up the butt.
Yeah, definitely. And I reckon we'll be back with a quarter one wrap next year, and we'll touch base back on this and see what the prediction looks like and see how we went.
Yeah, I think this is our last one for the year.
I think it is too.
Personally, us too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, in that case, if we don't talk to you again, we hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year as well.
From the Novak family.
Yeah. Hope you get some really good presents, spend some quality time with your families, and then come back in the new year strong. But yeah.
That's it from us. And if you do want to talk about property over the Christmas period, we are here. We're only not here on the public holidays, so we will be here for the remainder of the time. So feel free to pop in for a coffee, and we'll be here to have a chat.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your evenings and the rest of your 2025. We'll see you in the next year.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.